It's the last weekend of June, and we told you that June was going to be a eventful month for Nebraska football. It has been, and we will certainly give it a look and point you toward July Big Ten Media Days and August camp right here on Nebraska Cornhuskers Live with Greg Peterson from Husker Online. Greg, how's it going tonight?
Doing good, Mark. How about you?
I'm doing well.
Okay.
I am doing well. I have lined up 5 of these live streams today, so this is the capper.
Well, we're here a day early, so I have my coffee and I have my water. So usually we're doing this on Tuesday nights. So let's go.
We are. So want to tell everyone we appreciate. I appreciate. I had to change the schedule this week. Appreciate you being here one night early because so we try to hit the mark on Tuesday night at 8:00 Eastern and 7:00 Central, and typically do that. But when we can't, that's why it's a good reason to subscribe, hit the bell for the notifications, and you get the notifications of when we need to change the schedule and go live. All right. Of course, everybody's focused on football program. Directly related to that, of course, is the guy that calls the shots, and that's the athletic director, and it's been Bill Moose, who is stepping down after a long tenure at a number of schools. And how has that been received? Was it expected? And how has his tenure been analyzed by most out there?
It's kind of a mixed bag there. We kind of have to bounce around everywhere on that. To us in the media, it wasn't a big surprise. The surprise was the timing, because we've known that he was not going to go past 20. His contract was ending after 2021, and he wasn't going to stay around anymore. He was brought in for a specific purpose, and there's been a lot of things that have been coming out from behind the scenes and stuff, and the number one word is dysfunction in the entire athletic department. So I think it was kind of a mutual kind of a thing, and you have to remember too, like I just said, that he wasn't really going to stay here much longer anyway. He never bought a house here since he was hired. He lived in a hotel for a long time, and then he lived in an apartment complex. And his wife didn't live here year round, and they own a big ranch, and he goes out there and works a big ranch most of the time in his downtime anyway. So he's kind of riding off into the sunset right now. With the athletic director position, it's been kind of a thing where the last 3 that have come in, Tom Osborne was brought in to fire Bill Callahan. And then Sean Eichhorst was brought in to fire Bo Pelini. And then you bring in Bill Moose, who didn't really matter. Everybody knew Mike Riley was going to get fired, but he made the Scott Frost hire. One feather in his cap there. And then with Nebraska basketball, he hires Fred Hoiberg. Another feather in his cap there. And then Nebraska baseball, he hires Will Bolt. Third feather in the cap. I don't know who else, what other AD would have been here that wouldn't have hired those 3 guys. So, when I hear people giving him credit for what he did, I think he just kind of was a guy that was kind of a stopgap to get rid of another problem in the department. And so now you move on, and a lot of pressure. A lot of people think that Scott Frost had something to do with it, and you know what? I don't even want to go into that. I don't want to delve into that world whatsoever. But Bottom line is you got to get a guy in here now that is going to support the football program. I think that was one of the biggest things knock on Bill Moose was that he wasn't really going out there and putting himself out there to put all those resources into the football program. And you have to also keep in mind that, and he didn't realize this either, that he has three other programs besides football that pay for themselves and bring revenue in. The basketball team, obviously, and the volleyball team, obviously, and the baseball team when they're good. And they've got top-notch facilities all the way across the board on that. And I don't know, but they're looking to the future, and you bring in a guy that gives Scott Frost, gets on Scott Frost, and demands success, and we kind of go from there.
Yeah, so obviously everybody ties the AD role to the football program, and that's the highest profile program at most schools, and certainly at Nebraska. They look directly at, okay, how is football doing? This is our evaluation of the AD. As you mentioned, the baseball program's been thriving. The volleyball's been excellent. And you mentioned the three hires. Certainly Frost was a slam dunk hire, but he was coming that way anyway. He didn't have to be lured to Nebraska.
No.
Of course, that's where he wanted to be.
That's why, Bill Moose was not brought in to hire Scott Frost. So, yeah.
People are going to ask who should be the next athletic director. Now, I don't keep track of athletic directors generally across the country, but in terms of specific names, but I got to think they're looking for somebody who is taken maybe a difficult situation, and he's been supportive in raising money and raising support, and has had successful hires overall, but certainly has had a good football track record.
Yeah, and there's a ton of names floated out there. Actually, Nebraska Chancellor Ronnie Green, gave a short interview today when they were breaking ground on the new engineering college here on campus, and he gave a few brief statements about it, and it's a national search, and he said actually Tuesday he'll elaborate on it more. But there's been so many names thrown around there, and I don't care what publication or what internet site you listen to or watch, and there's just a huge list of names on there, and I wouldn't even want to go in there to speculate on anybody that's on a short list at this point. So, yeah, we'll see.
Peyton's asking about Scott Frost getting fired and who would be a viable replacement. Well, first of all, you got to realize that Scott Frost would not be, if he is let go, they're going to let him coach the season. So we don't know what coaches are going to be available. So it depends on the success or lack thereof all across the country.
Well, just Peyton, just to answer your question as an insider and somebody that's around the program and stuff like that, if they fire Scott Frost, I have no idea where they would go after that. That would be just a crazy thing. I don't know.
And I got to think that even though this fan base, of course, but even the people in charge want to see a measurable improvement on the field, and you first go to wins and losses, that the schedule being what it is, that has to be taken into consideration in terms of what the expectation should be. They can improve considerably and be 6-6 this year.
Big improvement. Yeah. You got to show progress. I think we say that every week on this show, right? Winning cures all of this. Winning takes your recruiting up from a 3-star level to a 4-star level. You have everything that you need resource-wise here. You have the fan base. Now with the name, image, and likeness laws, going into effect here in on Friday. You know what? And I know people have asked us before. People have asked me about why does that benefit Nebraska? Nebraska is the only show here in this state. So if you're a popular player, your name, image, and likeness means a heck of a lot more than if you're. I won't even point out another school anywhere. Just to, we'll nip that in the bud right now. So there's a lot of things moving right now, and it's all towards the positive. And if you can show that out there on the field, you put all this Scott Frost debate, should he get fired or not, you put that to the wayside, and you build from there. And, you bring in an AD, hopefully that's a guy that is in Scott Frost's corner and wants to or is willing to put everything into it to help him out as much as he can and support the program.
I've got to think that it's going to take a couple years before anybody can really analyze how this name, image, and likeness is going to benefit some programs and not benefit others. Certainly people conjecture that LA and Miami are entertainment spots and locales with certain attractions. Therefore, those athletes are going to benefit from USC, UCLA, Miami. However,
big markets
and a lot of competition.
Yep.
So again, all you have to do is look at a map and understand where professional sports are versus collegiate sports. Also understand the collegiate markets at a big time level in places like Nebraska. And there aren't a whole lot that don't have competition within the state.
No, not really.
Michigan has Michigan State, Penn State has Pitt. We could go on and on and
maybe
on.
Ohio State.
Kansas State.
Maybe Ohio State.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just because you're in Columbus, but you're still competing
with the NFL,
with the NBA, and with Major League Baseball. So,
with 5 professional teams, 6 counting the NHL right there in town.
Yep. So
we'll see. I think there's going to be opportunity for just about everyone. Are certain programs and certain locales going to have benefits that others and advantages others don't? Yes. What they are, again, I think we're surveying it from both sides. What those are, I don't know, but there's going to be opportunity for everyone, everywhere, to some degree.
Oh, big time.
All right. Considering the let's get to the commit before we conjecture about anybody further. Looking at the 2023 class, we got Gunnar Katula, offensive tackle, out of Lincoln Southeast.
Yep. Yeah, big Gunnar. We talked about him. Actually, we talked about him last week on the show. He had gotten his offer, and he had been a guy that came into the Friday Night Lights camp, and the first one, and had a really strong showing, and got his Nebraska offer. And then I'd actually talked to him the following week and did a one-on-one interview with him on camera, and we kind of dismissed the thought of a timetable for his commitment. We weren't even thinking about this year. We were thinking about it going into next summer before his senior year of high school. But kind of a no-brainer. I think I joked around with that last week on our Husker Online radio show about that same thing. That's the biggest no-brainer right there. That Gunnar Katula is going to commit here. And when he did get that Nebraska offer, boom, he did. He started. I think he got an Iowa offer, Iowa State offer, Kansas State offer. So the other guys around the region just started jumping in too. And his dad, Coach Ryan Katula, is the head coach there at Southeast, and he's a state championship football coach, and runs a great program there. And very, very humbling kind of to see. I actually even asked Coach Katula about that after the Friday Night Lights camp when Gunnar got his offer, and I have it on camera where gunner came over to the side of the fence there at the edge of the field, to where the other side of the fence is the concrete. Then you got the stands, and Coach Catula was there and patted him right there on his chest, and said, "Good job, son. I'm proud of you." And, it was a really cool kind of thing to see. And so it's not a shock at all. His teammate Jake Applegate was the committed last week, who's in the 2022 class. So now you got 2 Southeast kids on board, and that's the most offered school in the state that Nebraska's done in this modern recruiting era. And now the other big fish there left for the 2023 class right now is Tatum Tuioti, which is a very coveted outside linebacker prospect, and his father's the defensive line coach at Nebraska, Tony Tuioti. So, you're kind of making it Southeast. I kind of joked with those guys too. It's like we got Southeast High School West Campus down on Memorial Stadium. So, yeah, good stuff.
You can catch the interview that Greg referenced and a whole bunch of other stuff there at Husker Online. You can go right here on YouTube and just search Husker Online right here on YouTube to catch all sorts of great footage and interviews, news conferences, and the like. We got a pretty good thing going here every Tuesday night typically, but you got to hang with us. Sometimes we got to change the schedule. Tuesday night, typically 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Greg Peterson, Husker Online. We've done it 23 straight weeks, so we appreciate all of you coming on board, and certainly thanks to Greg because he makes it happen. I just fill in the blanks, but he drives home the Nebraska analysis, certainly. All right.
You're a good wingman, Mark.
What's that?
You're a good wingman, Mark.
We do our best. We do what we can. We do what we can. When I got something to say, I say it. But when it comes to recruiting, especially in a breakdown of the personnel on the field for Nebraska football, I got to start watching the games. Once we start watching the games, then I'm going to have more to say. But certainly leave your comments, your questions, your debate topics there in the live chat, and hopefully everybody can get off Scott Frost back for the time being, and we can talk about some other things like what's been going on in the recruiting trail. So anything of note besides the commit for 2023 since the last time we talked?
Well, they were just kind of finishing off June here. Still hosted some other official visitors over the weekend, and we're still holding their individual workouts. And, they're right now with 7 commits in this class. It's really, right now, they're in no rush to fill any other spots right now. With everything that's going on, they're happy where they sit, which is kind of weird at this point because usually, we're talking about a class that's going to sign, 25 guys. And, right now you kind of want to have 14 or 15 guys on board already, but there's 7 right now, and like we discussed last week, probably only taking 14, maybe 15 in this class. So, with everything that's going on, I know that, like we said last week, there are spots now, like usually where they might take 2 or 3 guys, maybe they're only taking 1 guy this year. There's just so many factors that go on with that. And obviously, there's some guys out there that would probably pull the trigger right now. But the coaching staff has probably told them to just hold off right now and kind of wait to see how all these numbers play out. Because you and I know what I'm talking about, Mark. It's the super seniors that we haven't heard about yet, how this is going to be treated for the following year, and which leaves a bunch of guys in this 2020 class on hold, seeing if there's going to be spots available for them. So, yeah, the whole thing's a mess right now, and like always, I think we're always waiting on the NCAA to actually come together and make a definitive decision on how to move forward with this. So that's kind of like that in a nutshell. That's where recruiting is right now. They've worked out a ton of guys. They got a ton of guys that they like, but when you only have 7 or 8 spots open right now, and now that people can take official visits again and everything, I think they're saving the rest of those spots for during the season to bring in some high profile guys, on an official visit weekend for a home game, and kind of fill out their class that way. So, yeah, just the strange times that we've been living in that changes the whole dynamic of usually what we're dealing with.
Pig Bear Man, Mark, I love you, man. I'm just so depressed now and have no excitement about the season because I know what's coming. So one of the reasons I read that, I appreciate that, Pig Bear Man, and we appreciate your comments. We don't mind you venting, and we don't mind anything, just as long as it's somewhat respectful and it's honest and all that and authentic. We have no issues with that. We know that one of the reasons why the stadium's full every week and the message boards are full and the views go out at through the roof for highlight videos and interview videos and all that is because it's a rabid fan base. So you're passionate and you care, and it's not been good for Nebraska football for quite some time. And you know what, that comment there made me think, okay, when is the last time the typical Nebraska fan, just your average fan, was happy at the end of the season, felt good about the end of the season? And it led me to another question. We'll answer this one, and then it made me think to another step in the equation. So
back when Keith Jackson was still calling games here in Lincoln. Sorry, I didn't mean to disrail your thoughts there.
Well, yeah, because Bo Pelini he consistently won 9 games. I think he won 10 one year. Yeah, the year they went to the Big Ten championship game. But there was usually a thud at the end of the year.
Exactly.
So.
And he didn't take that very well.
Yeah, so even this was a really good season, this 2010 season, the last year in the Big 12, when you take Oklahoma within 3 points.
Still rolling. Nebraska had not dropped off yet there at that point.
So Nebraska finished 10-4. They take Oklahoma to the wire in the Big 12 championship game. They lose unexpectedly to Washington in the Holiday Bowl. So again,
that's because they played Washington the first game of the year and beat the heck out of them.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a really strange situation.
Yeah.
Where they had the rematch against Washington after they beat them by 5 touchdowns. And the year before, I got to think that this would be it right here, would be 2009 was, of course, the Colt McCoy throw out of bounds. Was there still a second left? Do they beat Texas? They came. So Nebraska fans, understandably, should have been, and I'm sure were pissed off, but still proud of their team, pissed off about the result, proud of their team.
The pinnacle of Nebraska fans' hatred of Texas, right?
Yeah, taking the number 2 team and basically, depending on your scorekeeping, your timekeeping, beating them, and then they annihilated Arizona in the Holiday Bowl that year. So maybe that was the last time could feel pretty good about a 10-4 finish, playing the number 2 team in the nation, basically outplaying them defensively, just putting a chokehold on one of the best offenses in the country.
Yep.
Because that was just a rock fight. I remember I was extremely impressed watching Nebraska play defense in that game against Texas, because they were scoring 45 points against everybody.
Hey, I was living in Nashville at the time, and working on the national team at Rivals, and I got tickets and drove up. Me and my buddy, who's a musician from Abilene, Texas, who went to Texas. We drove up together, and as soon as we got into the stadium, sat down in our seats in the South Stadium, and he never sat down once and just held up a hook'em the whole game. And the old folks behind us and were just screaming at him the whole time, but he never sat down once. It was pretty funny.
Because then that led me to the next thought in my head beyond when is the last time the typical Nebraska fan was happy at the end of the year was looking at the Mike Riley run. You know, you can't be pleased as a Nebraska fan with this final season, like ultimately pleased, but the record looked decent, 9-4. So he gets fired after he goes 9-4. Now, Ohio State obliterated them by 59 points, and they lost ugly to Iowa. And then the bowl game against Tennessee was a fairly decent game, but they were clearly...
They didn't get embarrassed.
Yeah, they were clearly handled. It wasn't like down to the wire, but they were 1-2 scores down the whole game. They lost by 2 touchdowns. So they go 9-4, and he gets fired. Like, did that have more to do with stuff that was going on off the field and how he was approaching his role rather than just, bam, 9-4, you're getting fired?
Yeah, everything to do with it. He actually, I think he wanted to be fired, to tell you the truth. But no, he had embarrassed himself more times than you can count, and had embarrassed the university so much that the writing was on the wall. I mean, there have been times like behind the scenes when he would just snap and start screaming at a reporter because they were laughing, thinking they were laughing at him, but no, they were in a conversation with another reporter in a private conversation. They start laughing, and he would think they're making fun of him. But no, he just embarrassed the university so much, and you couldn't keep on with him. And it was unfortunate because, you know, I like Coach Pelini. I spent several times with him that were great. Times on bowl trips and stuff when he was one of the funniest guys I ever talked to. But then you'd turn around and all of a sudden he'd probably be the biggest jerk that you've ever met. So yeah, and you know it's well documented on national television on the field the way he would act during games and stuff. So yeah, it wasn't so much the record; it was just it was time to move on. And then you know the big mistake probably was bringing Mike Riley in. It's hard to blame anybody for that. I don't know, but the biggest thing about that was when Nebraska announced that Mike Riley was hired. I think 95% of the comments I saw was who? Nobody knew who he was. And when he's got a well-proven track record in the college and the pros, but yeah. So that's what the problem is, that people are worried so much about Scott Frost and the production that he's had here. And like we said earlier in the show, you're going to fire Scott Frost. What's your plan A after that? What's your plan B after that? What's your plan C after that? And bottom line is you got to win games and things will turn around. A positive season this year goes a long way to put a lot of these questions to bed.
Andy making the comment here about Adrian Martinez struggles at the beginning of the season. If he does, should they finally focus on other quarterbacks? He's had more than enough time to improve and excel.
You know what? Well, first off, Andy, I don't think he's going to struggle. So just keep that in mind and be positive about that. But if he does struggle and keeps turning the ball over, they're not going to hesitate to make a change. And I've already gone out there and saying that true freshman Heinrich Harburg is going to win the number 2 spot, and I think they feel comfortable enough with him of what they've seen with him in a short amount of time that they're very comfortable about handing the reins over to him if need be. And then you got Logan Smothers, who's been in the program for a long time or for a few years, and is comfortable running the system and everything, and he's a very capable backup too. So yeah, it all depends on Adrian's performance as far as turning the ball over and making solid decisions, and then we kind of move from there. And a lot depends on that win and loss record too. A big thing that people ask about is it that big of a deal to start 3-0? Yeah, it's a big deal to start 3-0. If you lose that opening game at Illinois, then I don't think anybody's backing you the rest of the year.
Mustrick is asking whether the university supports the issues Scott Frost brings up with the transfer portal. Seems to bring up controversy. He's not as loud as Bo Pelini, but he constantly seems to be on the national local news for things.
Well, he speaks his mind. He doesn't act like a jackass trying to do it. Yeah, but the transfer portal is, you're just seeing the beginning of this, and there's got to be some rules and regulations put in place to kind of limit right now, because it's complete free agency at this point, and it creates the biggest headache is it creates for the coaching staff. So kind of bear with him. He's having a rough go at it, and clearly he is not happy right now. But like we just said, winning cures all of that.
Absolutely. Nebraska fans, please leave your comments, your questions, your debate topics. We talk Nebraska football with Greg Peterson from Husker Online. It's the Nebraska site for rivals, so you can join him in his work there. You can catch a ton of great highlights, practice footage, news conference clips, interviews with the players, the recruits, a number of folks there at the YouTube channel right here, Husker Online. So just go to the YouTube search bar and type in Husker Online. All right.
Richard. 2 first names.
You know that you've made the comment a number of times in evaluating not necessarily the offensive line's play, but just the way the guys look coming off the bus, that this is the best group that looks Big Ten championship upper tier ready. You think they're going to play that way?
Yeah, they've got the guys that they need in place. At least frontline guys, and with capable backups right now. Maybe not as deep as you. I don't know if any team's ever as deep as they want to be anyway, but there's going to be a marked improvement on what you see on the offensive line this year, and it's kind of cool because now that I think about it, I've seen every single one of the starters play when they were in high school. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. And to go back to the previous question is that, we've talked about it a lot before. Absolutely, they have to change their offensive philosophy, and run the ball a lot more. Get that balance, because if you're successful running the ball, and like we're talking about the offensive line, and I think they're going to be very vastly improved, that they can start moving the chains on the ground, and you throw in all the weapons that they have on the outside, and they have a chance to be a very special offense, and kind of for the first time, maybe kind of show you what Scott Frost offense was capable of when they were at UCF and at Oregon.
So if you look at both sides of the football, all three levels on defense, and look at the various positions on offense. Okay, you got 10 of 11 starters, as we've discussed many times on the defensive side. You've got a veteran quarterback.
And you just added a 5-star corner.
Yes. Yeah. Added a 5-star cornerback. So, sometimes there's a difference between a weakness and a question mark. You could have a question mark where you get a bunch of 5 stars at a position, but they don't have any experience. I would consider that a question mark. They could turn out to be phenomenal. So if you're just looking at question marks / weaknesses, that appears to be what, running back, wide receiver.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think those are the two obvious upgrades that they've made personnel-wise. That receiver room, like we've talked about before, I've never seen anything like it. You got 2 bona fide NFL guys sitting there, and then you got a stable full of running backs with some that we don't even know if they're proven, like a Marquis Step that we haven't even seen yet. So those 2 position groups are, in my opinion, people are going to see a lot more like NFL type body kind of guys that you kind of expect to see at your Ohio States and your Notre Dames and everybody you want to plug into that. So we don't talk about the defense very much because they have so much returning talent and stuff, and all they're doing is adding more depth and more bodies, and with all the experience they have returning, that we're not worried about the defensive side of the ball. So yeah, you're looking at those 2 position groups to really, start performing at a high level that we haven't seen in a while.
Is there a guy or 2 or 3, however far you want to take it, that you think could make the biggest jump in their level of play, have a breakout season?
Returning guys? You know what? Who really comes to mind, who I think is going to have a big year, is senior tight end Austin Allen. I think he's due for a big time breakout type of year, where you have all these other weapons like we're talking about, like an Omar Manning and a Samori Toure. Take your pick of 3 or 4 running backs that they're going to feature. I think that the tight end gets lost in all that. And I think Austin Allen's going to have maybe a career year for a Nebraska tight end. I'm thinking he's going to catch 5 or 6 touchdowns and around 50 balls maybe. So that's what I'm looking at right there.
Austin Allen coming off junior season with 18 catches, 13 yards per catch, and a touchdown. And of course, there was only 8 games played.
And he's only 6'9". So he doesn't present a very big target.
That's pretty massive. He should
but
be able
what? He's going to
post up some people.
He's going to be an NFL draft pick. He will be. He'll be playing on Sundays.
Talking Nebraska football with all of you every Tuesday night, typically. Tuesday night at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Had to change the schedule this week, so I thank Greg, and I also thank all of you for keeping up with us. That's an important reason to subscribe to the channel and keep that bell open for the notifications to know when we post new content, and head over to Husker Online, of course, on Rivals, and right here on YouTube for a ton of great video.
And
Anything recent?
I agree with Eddie right there with that comment.
Yep.
I'm right on board with that. Good call, Eddie.
The one that I posted.
Yep. I like that.
7-5, 8-4.
7-5 or 8-4. I like that. Yep.
Okay. I have yet to make my prediction. I certainly think that's within range. I don't think there's much debate there. I'm good with that.
Yep. I think we just talked about that, Joshua.
Yeah, so folks, sometimes you miss the conversation early on, so just wait for the video to post and go back. It takes about 15 minutes after we get done and watch what you missed there, as we always gain people as we move along with about 71 on the line.
Boom.
So I'm going to hit you with some numbers here, Greg.
Uh-oh.
Going to Athlons here.
Uh-oh.
Get a reaction for some of these metrics here. So
based out of Nashville.
Are they?
Yep. They'd always hire the Rivals guys after they get fired.
19%. What that alludes to is only 2 FBS offenses last year had a larger percentage of drives and in turnovers, as Nebraska lost 9 fumbles, was intercepted 9 times across 95 offensive possessions.
Who was worse?
Got to clean that up.
Who was worse?
2 teams in the FBS out of 130.
Who?
Couldn't tell you. For 2 worse. I'm going to guess like Louisiana Monroe and Kansas. That would be my 2 guesses. They both went winless.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good guesses.
Maybe Vandy. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
So
2 of those 3.
They probably, if they could cut that in half, that would change a lot.
It makes a big difference.
Because unless you're turning the ball over at the 50-yard line, and that's not even a good thing, of course. It's never a good thing to turn the ball over. You're either squashing a scoring opportunity for yourself, because let's say you got it at the opponent's 25 or 30, or you're setting up the opponent for a score because you just turned it over at your own 20 or 25. So none of them are good.
How many times did we see Nebraska actually turn it over inside their own red zone, which really,
sure.
I mean, that it just doubles everything. It's been just such a myriad of errors, and you just have to hope that. I mean, obviously, we in the media ask about it all the time. How do you fix it? How do you fix it? I don't know. I guess if there was some kind of magical fix, it would happen. But I think that you just concentrate on it, and now that you have a guy at the helm that is now, I mean, he's always been a grown-ass man, but he is now graduated college and basically is interviewing for his next job this year. So I think you see a marked improvement in that, and with Coach Verduzco and Coach Frost, they have a lot of quarterbacking experience, coaching experience between the 2 of them, and I expect to see different things this year.
When we put together the 3 numbers that I'm going to read, I already gave you the first one. It's going to be a wonder that they won 3 games.
Really, yeah.
They went 3-5.
Yeah.
Because when you turn over the football more than any team in the country, except for 2 teams out of 130, that's number 1. Put it together with this stat. Defensively, the Huskers recovered 2 fumbles and intercepted opposing quarterbacks 5 times across 566 snaps. The Nebraska defense averaged 81 plays between takeaways, 3rd worst in the Big Ten, number 114 in the nation.
Out
Number
of
114
120,
out of 130.
or 130. Yeah.
So number 114 on defense and number 127 on offense.
Yeah.
Now, how they went 3-5, they must have played well at the line of scrimmage and pushed people around with that kind of turnover rate on both sides of the ball. So follow me here. There's a level of turnover rate that's luck. Not most of it, but there's a pretty sizable part that's luck. You know, you can fumble 10 times and you may recover 7, you may recover 3, you may recover, and sure, there's fighting for the ball, there's being alert, there's all those things that factor in, but some of it's luck. The ball just bounces wherever it does, and there's a dude not even close to the play, and there's deflected passes, intercepted. So there's been studies done to show, okay, a slice of that's luck. Turnover. So you got to think just by sheer luck that they're going to do better than 114 and 127 in the country in turnover rate.
You have to. You absolutely have to. And, you know, when you like crunch those numbers, I think something that's really funny that comes to mind is that, you know, we've been asked on our Husker Online radio show and on our message boards about over under how many turnovers is a defense going to get compared to sacks. And we've all kind of agreed that turnovers is more than sacks.
Sure.
So, yeah, you got to – a lot of it comes with pass rushing there on the defense to get some more of it. But you just can't put the defense in those kind of situations where we saw so many times last season when the first play of the game, Luke McCaffrey throws a stupid interception right into the hands of an Illinois defender. You know, Adrian Martinez is dropping the ball. There's so many times that a lot of those I would probably, just off the top of my head, venture to say 60% of those turnovers were on Nebraska's side of the field, at least 60%. So you were always putting your defense into a hole. And, you know, they came through. They were one of the top defenses out there as far as holding teams back and keeping their offense in the game. So, yeah, something's got to give. And it's all, I think it all comes down to the offense. And you're not putting the defense into those stupid situations where they don't have any choice, but they got their backs pinned up against the wall, and actually give them a chance to go a 3 and out and get off the field on the opponent's side of the field.
So you're turning the ball over more than almost everyone in the country. You're not getting turnovers as much as almost anyone in the country, and then put that together with this stat. And again, I'm amazed they went 3-5. Nebraska attempted 245 passes last year. They connected for a gain of 30 yards or more 4 times in 245 passes.
Yep.
That is number 121 in the country and number 13 in the Big Ten. So you don't hit for explosive plays. You turn the ball over and you don't get turnovers. It's a wonder. And so this is the only thing that this tells me too. Maybe I'm stretching this, is that they dominated. Dominate might be a bit of a stretch, but outplayed. They had to have outplayed their opponent at the line of scrimmage.
Physically, yes.
They must have won most of the plays up front because they didn't get big plays at all.
Yeah.
So, okay,
outside of the Ohio State game.
Yeah.
Those are toss-ups.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the next thing I was going to go to.
Yeah.
Forget the Ohio State game.
Right.
They're the second best team in the country. Okay. And it was closer than 52-17. Anybody that watched that on either side of the ball, Ohio State fan or Nebraska fan, there's no doubt it was a competitive game. It was like a 24-17 game in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Okay. They lost to Northwestern, who was a top 10 team in the country, went to the Big Ten championship game.
Dogfight every time those two teams play.
One possession.
Yeah. Always,
They beat,
always is a one possession.
yeah. Penn State, sure, they had an off season, but they're probably one of the 15 or 20 most talented teams in the country.
Yeah.
You beat them by a touchdown. The Illinois game,
Throw that
that was the clunker of the season. Iowa, top 15 team in the country. We know what happened. They had the ball inside the 50 for the winning score on the last drive of the game. Adrian Martinez gets blindsided. They lose by 6.
Who wanted that game more, Iowa or Nebraska? Iowa.
Yeah. Well, they still only lost by a score.
Yep.
They beat Purdue by 10. They lost to Minnesota by 1 score, touchdown. They beat Rutgers.
Yeah.
Can clean up these turnovers.
It's a different ball game. Yeah. Obviously, you've got talent, and like we said, all that defensive experience is coming back. And the one question mark that you had was that one corner spot, and you just bring in a 5-star former Ohio State guy to throw in the mix. And you know what? It looks rosy, especially on the defense side, because we already know they're a good defense. And like we've just been saying the whole night, it comes down to turnovers, because we know that the offense can move the ball. They didn't have any kind of problems moving the ball at all last year in losing 5 games. But it's those turnovers that have always been that plague. And then horrible special teams have also contributed to a lot of that. And you clean up those two things, and yeah, that number kind of flips around, in my opinion, that win-loss record.
Yeah. Iowa was a better team, but over the course of the season, but in that game was a toss-up. They were right there. Again, Ohio State's better. Northwestern's better over the course of a season, but that particular game, that could have been one. This could have been a 5-3 season, 6-2.
Yeah. In that game, I just noticed that Nebraska didn't care as much as Iowa did in that game. Iowa wanted that game. That's why they've won this matchup so many years in a row now. They just outwilled Nebraska. They didn't outplay them, out-physical them. They just wanted it more.
Would ask everyone to contribute. There's a number of ways you can do that. Please hit the like button. That doesn't necessarily make us feel good. That's not why we ask for that. But YouTube rewards that. They like that. Their algorithms like the like button. So that means that people like the video and are supporting it. So YouTube likes the feedback. So please hit the like button. Please just let people know that we're here. Typically, again, Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. Just tell people that love college football, especially the Huskers, that we're here every week. And please consider contributing as well via the Super Chat, or you can hit me up at PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App. And if you do and you want to contribute specifically to this show, just put a notation there, Nebraska or otherwise. Greg, whatever you want to put there.
Is that a tax-free donation?
Yes, I'm a charity case. So absolutely. All right, folks. Great to have everybody here. We topped out close to 100 online, and we hope to really get this steamrolling toward August camp. Greg, appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate you being here. We don't have a show without you, so you make it all happen.
Love it. Got to get more of us involved in this. Let's make something out of this. And
absolutely.
You know what? Just like we've been saying, win more ball games, we'll have a bigger and better show.
In the meantime, before Nebraska can win any games, bring people on into the live stream each week, everyone. So appreciate your help. Appreciate your support, everyone. Greg, you're the best. And we will see you next week.
Looking forward to it, as always.